Okay, we'll do the Chinese first. Everybody find it? You all done this before. Okay. Okay. Let's do this. I want to say something first about that. Then we'll do the English. Say something about that. One way to approach memorizing this is to break it into parts. Of course, if English is your primary language, you're going to have to refer to that. But for the folks here who are approaching this mostly in Chinese, I find it's much easier to memorize things if you break them into parts and do section by sections. Now, this breaks very easily into different parts by content, but also by lists, interestingly. So let's break this part off. Jedi Bolo Songjedi Putsu, the mantra. That's a part. The let's see, you can actually take Ji Shuo Zhu Ye, you can do these last four characters. The mantra goes like this: Gate Gate Pargate. That's one. So there's a piece. Now it's smaller. It's interesting. Okay, here there's an introduction, and it's that first line. Avalokiteshvara, Guanzai Pusa, Xingshan Bora Bola Mido Shi, Jiao Zhen Wu Yunje Kong Dui Che Ku E. Okay, that's the introduction. where he says, when Avalokiteshvara was practicing the profound Prajnaparamita, looked down from on high, saw that all five skandhas are empty, and suffering stopped. That's the introduction. So now we've taken a sentence away from the top, taken a sentence away from the bottom. Okay, that's interesting. Then the profound statement, form and emptiness are identical. They're not different, they're the same. That's where suddenly we're in a new section where emptiness is being introduced, and also things are being introduced too. And it goes all the way down to here, wusodogu. So wujir iwuda. This section here is the real difficult, the tofu and broccoli, not the meat and potatoes, but the tofu and broccoli for the vegetarians among us. That's the tofu and broccoli of the Heart Sutra, is this description of what things are and what they're not. And there's lots of no, it's not this, not this, not this, not this, not this, and it's this and this and this and this and this. And inside this, we get lists. We get the five skandhas, which we've already worked with the five skandhas, right? What comes up next that we haven't got to yet are what are called 18 realms, which is 6 senses, 6 sense objects, and the consciousnesses. So there's 18 things introduced in here. Oh, all right, take that chunk of it. And now it's kind of, there's not a lot left. So once we start breaking it up, then memorizing it in bite sizes, it's much more approachable. The other one, iwusodogu, because there's nothing to get, so there's nothing to know and nothing to get, from that sentence, iwusodogu puti-sato, all the way down to anuttara samyak sambodhi. That's the next chunk. And then you should know that the mantra is a shenzhou, a damingzhou, a wushangzhou, a dangdangzhou. So what is the mantra? So this whole, the bottom 4 lines are a piece. So we've got title, introduction, emptiness and form. Mostly that piece is hard to name because there's a bunch of stuff in it. Down to anuttara samyak sambodhi, then the mantra, and that's it. That's the whole sutra. So it's, when you break it up that way, and then you approach it, it's like when you get to the next section, it's your friend. Oh, I know where I am. I recognize that. That's familiar, right? And it becomes much more approachable that way. So I'm going really fast, I know, and it would help if I had flags on here, but maybe I can prepare that on my computer and send it out to Sam, and Sam can send it to everybody. So you can see the real section, even color-coded, pink, blue, red, green, like that. Okay, let's apply that. Now, we switch over to the English. The paragraph breaks, that's not it. So don't be, it's, these paragraphs are artificial breaks. That's not the same breakdown that I just gave you. So you can't go by the paragraphs only. Okay, let's do the English here. Homage to the Prajna assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as vast as the sea. Homage to the Prajna assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as vast as the sea. Homage to the Prajna assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas as vast as the sea. The heart of Prajna Paramita Sutra, when Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara was practicing the profound Prajna Paramita, she illuminated the 5 skandhas and saw that they were all empty. and she crossed beyond all suffering and difficulty. Shariputra, form does not differ from emptiness. Emptiness does not differ from form. Form itself is emptiness. Emptiness itself is form. So too are feeling, cognition, formation, and consciousness. Shariputra, all dharmas are empty of characteristics. They are not produced, not destroyed, not defiled, not pure, and they neither increase nor diminish. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, feeling, cognition, formation, or consciousness, no eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, or mind, no sights, sounds, smells, tastes, object of touch, or dharmas, no field of the eyes up to and including no field of mind consciousness, and no ignorance or ending of ignorance, up to and including no old age and death, or ending of old age and death. There is no suffering, no accumulating, no extinction, and no way, and no understanding, and no attaining. Because nothing is attained, the Bodhisattva, through reliance on Prajna Paramita, is unimpeded in her mind. Because there is no impediment, she is not afraid, and she leaves distorted dream thinking far behind. Ultimately, nirvana. All Buddhas of the 3 periods of time attain Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi through reliance on Prajna Paramita. Therefore know that Prajna Paramita is a great spiritual mantra, a great bright mantra, a supreme mantra, and an equal mantra. It can remove all suffering. It is genuine and not false. That is why the mantra Prajna Paramita was spoken. Recite it like this. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. End of the heart of Prajna Paramita Sutra. Very good. We did it. I need to tell folks that next week I'm going to be down in Sydney on Saturday. Bummer. Ben has happily agreed to stand in and explain the Heart Sutra for all of us. No, that wouldn't be. So yeah, not this week. Maybe next week. So I'm not going to be here. If you want to organize your own class and meet all the same, to sit or to compare notes, that would be super. Up to you. Why am I not going to be here? Cliff and I are going down to Sydney because we found out, the monks from the Buddhist Association of China are coming to Australia to organize a forum, a 4-day event down in Sydney with China, Australia, New Zealand Buddhists meeting. We're going to be performing at the Opera House. Woo-hoo! Anybody who is down in the Opera House the first couple days of August, I'm going to be the MC. You can come and cheer me on down in the Opera House. So this next week, starting Friday, the planners, a handful of monks are coming over from Beijing and Shanghai and Hangzhou to get things organized. So I will be back for Saturday night and Sunday for the Avatamsaka lecture. So the week following is going to be my last class for a month or two, because then I'm heading back to the States for all the Buddhist events that we have, our association, during July and August, which are many. So, and a whole bunch of us are going to be going there too. So this semester of this class is rapidly concluding, but we are only this far in the Heart Sutra. So what I say to all of you who are students of the Heart Sutra, don't go anywhere. Watch this space. We'll be back. Put your finger right on that spot and don't move, because when I'm back, we're going to pick right up again. I will be back in August, early August. So pick up again. Okay, that being said, let's take the next sentence, okay? So we looked at the skandhas, the components, the heaps, the aggregates, and we learned they were form, doesn't differ from emptiness. We learned that emptiness and form are not different. Form itself is emptiness, emptiness itself is form, so too are feeling, cognition, formation, consciousness. Those are the five. So the Buddha, in explaining this text, what is he doing? He is making a statement of what he actually sees. This is not philosophy, as we proved, right? That's obviously not empty. 100 times out of 100, that's going to fall, and that's real. How can it be empty? Well, the Buddha is saying, once you meditate until your senses start to transform, the skandhas start to change, and you realize samadhi, that experience is different for you. And wisdom grows. Prajnaparamita is a kind of wisdom. So it's true from his eyes. In this sutra, the Buddha is saying, I want to let you look through my eyes at the world. That's what it is. So he's not saying something is, if you think that's real, something's wrong with you, or you're not in the club or something like that. No, it's not that. He's saying, once prajnaparamita is the way you see things, then there is a radical transformation of reality. Okay? Reality is different. There are levels of reality. And prajnaparamita is a door into another level of reality. Now, if in our culture here in 21st century Queensland, who talks like that in the West? Physicists talk like that. People who use expensive machines to look at the nature of reality, and they say, you know what? We can't explain quantum physics. We don't know why applying force over here, something happens over there. It shouldn't. But look at the bubble chamber. That's going on. It's real. We can prove it 100 times out of 100 that you get unpredictable results when you apply quantum theory. Okay, well, that's interesting. You could even say, here's another simpler one. Who invented the microscope? Any biology teachers? I'll give you a clue. He was Dutch. Who can we put on the spot? Any high school teachers? Van Leeuwenhoek. 5 points to the monk. I forget, I don't know his first name. Van Leeuwenhoek invented the microscope. And he put some lenses together. He was Dutch. And suddenly, in a drop of water, oh my goodness, there were all these little squiggly, all this life in a drop of water. So there's levels of reality that were available to you if you could look through his tube with lenses in it. Suddenly, where did those little wigglies come from? They were always there, but you couldn't see them. So the Buddha is saying, once prajnaparamita is working, there's another level of reality happening right where you are. And now the thing that what he said was, X is not different from Y. X itself is Y. They're the same. Not sort of like it, they're the same. And you go, no, they're not. That emptiness in there, I can see through it. There's no wood there, but there's wood, not the same. So he says, yes, they are, from my eyes. When I look at them using prajnaparamita lenses. Okay, now he goes one step further. He says, Shariputra, all dharmas are empty of characteristics. What does that mean? The Chinese is 诸法空相. So what is he talking about? All dharmas. What are all dharmas? All dharmas are everything your senses touch. The sights we see, the sounds we hear, the smells we smell, the tastes we taste, the sensations of touch. That's really smooth, that's really round, that's really cold. That's a sensation. And then, very important, the thoughts in the mind. Those are all called dharmas, small d dharma. in the West, if we didn't have the word dharma available, we would probably call it phenomena or things. Things. But things also includes thoughts, states of mind. So aggravation, irritation, anxiety, those are dharmas. Joy, grogginess, fear, those are emotions, yeah, but they're dharmas also. This guitar dharma, the method of hitting a cricket ball with a cricket bat, the dharma of a cricket bat, those are all small d phenomena, you would say. So I'm reaching out to grab all kinds of stuff because the realm of dharmas is everything. Now, that sounds too big. Bring it back, because why? How do we know everything? With our eyes, our ears, our nose, our tongue, our body, and our mind. There's no knowledge that doesn't come in through our senses, right? They call it the six sense doors. Everything you know, everything you have learned from inside mother's womb until this last breath, we learned through impact with our senses. We saw it, we heard it, we smelled it, tasted it, touched it, thought it. Right? Would you all agree? Is there somebody who say, well, there's also like intuition, which is not a sense dharma. There's also dreaming, which is not really a sense dharma. Okay, admit those. There are a few that are not sense-based. Is imagination sense-based, for example? Yeah, it's something in the mind, but it's kind of gray area. All of those things, 诸法空相, are characterized by what? Emptiness, he says. Emptiness. And you go, oh man, here we are again. This is like, everything vanishes. As soon as I try to grab it, it's gone. It's like a handful of water, gone. Emptiness. So we're going to stop with that right now. 是诸法空相. What does he say? All dharmas have the characteristic of emptiness. What is a characteristic? It's a mark. It's how you know it. What's a characteristic? A name is a characteristic. A color is a characteristic. A flavor, a velocity, the speed of it, the density. Those are all things by which you know something. Oh, I know her. She's got blonde hair. I know him. He's got a bad temper, and his name is Bill. Those are his characteristics. I know her. She's very sweet. Characteristic. All dharmas share one characteristic, says the Buddha, which is there's nothing there ultimately. Now, how is this characterized by emptiness? Well, it's hollow, but that's not what the Buddha is saying. He's saying the hard part is characterized by emptiness. It's like, here we are again. I don't get it. Okay. From the point of view of his Prajnaparamita vision, he's saying, this is not ultimately a wooden fish. Drop it in fire, and it becomes what? Ash and heat and smoke. And what happens to the ash and heat and smoke? Back to emptiness. Look at our bodies. Our bodies, not just the empty spaces, your empty stomach when you're hungry, your empty throat so you can drink, but he's saying the actual makeup of the body ultimately goes back to emptiness. Why? The body is a collection of dharmas. Hard ones, wet ones, warm ones, spaces, movement. So that's the Buddha's statement. Okay, and you go, whoa, why is he talking like this? He is aiming to get us free from suffering. That's the point. That's why the prince left the palace, hopped over the fence, said goodbye to his horse, went out in the woods, 6 years, getting radically simplifying, all the way back to where he ate 1 grain of rice and 1 sesame seed a day, just had 1 layer of cloth on his body, and experiment in radical, the word is called deconstruction. Everybody familiar with the word deconstruction? In literature and philosophy in the 20th century, that was a French deconstructionist, postmodern philosophy, tore things apart, tore apart grammar, tore apart institutions, down to the bottom, down to the basics. Nobody deconstructs like the Buddha. The Buddha is the radical postmodernist. He is taking stuff back to emptiness. Now, the thing is, things don't stay empty, they reform because of karma. They reform based on what we've set in motion that isn't done yet. But from the point of view of Prajnaparamita, he says, not only can you look at the wooden fish and say, I'm going to make this ashes, I'm going to make this heat and smoke and a little bit of light. He's saying the thing that sees the changes in that is also marked by emptiness. This is where the Buddha goes. The perceiver is also marked by emptiness. The eyes that are watching stuff, they're not. They've got what, 70? Ben and I are both born in 1949, telling his secrets. So we've been using these things for 75 years. How many more sites do we have in these? I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know if there's anybody older here we can laugh at. Nobody? No, we have to laugh at ourselves here. So how old are you?
8.
He's been using his for 8 years. What's your name again?
Dylan.
Okay, Dylan. 8 years only. You've got a lot of things to look at between now and then. Good for you. So he's saying not only are things marked by emptiness, the thing that perceives them is marked by emptiness. All Zhu Fa Kong Xiang, he says, all dharmas are marked by emptiness. They have the characteristic of nothing permanent being there. Okay, so let's take a breath. Whew. Right at this point, so many of the Buddha's teachings take as their heart this observation. The Buddha is not giving us philosophy. He's saying, this is what I see. I see it, and you can see it too if you can sit and realize samadhi. So how cool is that? There are other teachings that are like hallmark Buddhist teachings from the same place. For example, all things, all dharmas are impermanent, same, empty, and not self, he said. Impermanent meaning passing through. This was not always a wooden fish, now it is. This was not always a wooden fish beater, now it is. Toss it in the fire and it becomes something else. Impermanent, transient. Our bodies are transient. They're passing through. Currently in this shape, held together by, the Buddha would say, the glue of karma, which is things we do, and transient. Plus, there's no self in them. There's nothing that is uniquely wooden fish beater in this at all. Furthermore, he would say it's empty and it's unsatisfying. 苦空无常无我, he said. There you go. So there's another set of teachings based on the same idea. There's another one that is really, really cool for people who are interested in this. And I want to say one more thing here. When we touch the Heart Sutra, this is wisdom teachings. This is not compassion. Some people go, ooh, I thought the Buddhists did compassion. I like to come because it was warm and fuzzy. This is not that side. There is a side of Buddhism that is entirely all-encompassing and nurturing and non-judgmental. This is the other side, which takes stuff back to the void. It takes it back to space, which is not warm and fuzzy. It's cold. No sentiment here as he deconstructs all dharmas, all right? This is a profound look at the nature of reality. Now, here's the cool, this is the cool one. And I can only go here, just kind of point to it because it's complex, and it's called the 12 links, 12因缘法. the 12 links of conditioned arising, where the Buddha shows how you go from what he called ignorance, which is not understanding things, before no prajnaparamita, all the way to suffering, old age, sickness, and death. And then he goes, however, we can break up ignorance, and it takes us to the ending of old age, sickness, death, and suffering, to where you're beyond it. So this idea of looking deeply at the nature of reality, this is the heart of the Buddha's experience. He says, when you can do this, suffering's over. No matter what comes up to you, the death of a relative, the loss of something dear to you, you can apply your prajna wisdom to it and see that it's just a result of conditions coming together and conditions coming apart. The fundamental state is emptiness producing conditions that come together. A dharma is here, and the dharma dissipates. It may take lifetimes to happen. The planet, a redwood. We have redwoods on our property that are 1,000 years old in California. And yet they've been chopped down twice, clear cut twice. Once to rebuild San Francisco after the earthquake in 1916, and then once post-war. But there are a few old growths that are 1,000 years old. And you look and you think, yep, those two come apart. And the planet goes back to emptiness. Okay, so just to review what I've said, I'm going on and on here. This is radical deconstruction, not as an exercise, but as a way to take us to a place where suffering, we see that suffering is reality, but a choice. What do they say? Pain is inevitable, suffering is optional, right? It's going to hurt, but you don't have to be knocked down by it. To the degree that we can not cling as things come together and go apart, to the degree that we can let go, that's the degree that suffering ends for us. And the Buddha, with his wisdom, has seen how all dharmas are characterized by emptiness. Ultimately, they arise from nothing and they go back to nothing. Come together, fall apart. Now, one of the joys of meditation is while you're sitting, you can see dharmas rising and falling. Of course, the key to that is patience. You have to be patient and watch it happen. But anybody can see that. You can just sit there and say, this is the most boring thing I've ever done. And then something connects and you say, oh, now I understand why she did that. I never saw that before. This is so boring, it's just like the boredom is punctuated by deep insight, and it's back to boring. You think, whoa, that's really true, rising and falling. And in between is this kind of nothing. And the kind of nothing is everything. It contains all things. And as our meditation gets quieter, the nothingness that is everywhere just kind of yields. And pretty soon it all becomes this one piece. And we have a part in it. And if you keep going with that, the impulse is, it doesn't hurt as much. I would like to help other people get past their suffering. So that's where emptiness becomes compassion, is you see that everybody is experiencing it just the same. Okay, stop me before I preach again. This is just 诸法空相, 4 words. 舍利者是诸法空相, Shariputra. All dharmas are empty of characteristics. Then he goes, what do I mean by that? What I mean is, they don't come together, they don't fall apart, not produced, not destroyed. They're not judged into dirty and clean. That's that's superficial. Dharmas are neither of those. They are not, they don't grow and they don't decrease. And you go, don't get that. That's way beyond my comprehension. What do you mean they don't? Bu sheng bu mie, bu go bu jing, bu zang bu jian. 6 opposites. And all dharmas are none of them. That's really, why did the Buddha pick those pairs to be the defining non-characteristics of all dharmas? And there's an interesting answer to that, is because India, where this arose, this teaching arose, had schools of thought and philosophy and religion that pointed to exactly those characteristics. Teachers would arise and say, I observe that all dharmas are either produced or destroyed. The Buddha comes along and goes, no, they're not. They're not produced, they're not destroyed. Okay? And all dharmas are pure or defiled. No, they're not. They're neither pure nor defiled. All dharmas increase or decrease. No, they don't. Right? What's it like? Everybody know the 6th patriarch verse, our favorite story from the opening of the 6th patriarch, where the one monk comes out and he is not enlightened. And he goes, the body is a Bodhi tree, the mind a mirror stand bright. At all times, wipe it clean, let no dust alight. And he writes that on the wall of the monastery. And everybody comes out and goes, wow, really good, that's deep. Whoa, the body's a Bodhi tree, the mind's a mirror stand. Wipe it clean, don't let anything defile it. And the 5th patriarch comes out and he goes, oh, anybody who cultivates according to that will get a lot of blessings, he says. And then secretly, quietly, he brings the monk over. He says, you haven't seen your mind. He said, nope, you're still caught in duality. There's still dust and no dust. And he said, I'll give you another chance. Come up with another poem to show me that you're enlightened. And so the monk doesn't sleep, and he's sweating, and he's like pacing, and he can't do it. He can't come up with a new one. Meanwhile, the illiterate southerner who talks Chinese like this, because he's a barbarian from the Texas of China, you know, he talks like this. And everybody laughs at him because he's just a wood gatherer, laborer. He's in the kitchen, and he hears there's a chance to show what you know. So he goes out, he says, the body's a Bodhi tree, mind's a mirror stand bright, at all times wipe it clean, let no dust alight. I got a verse. Where he goes, what? You don't know anything. He says, well, you're right, but could somebody help me write it down? I'm illiterate, I can't write. Okay, ha ha ha, all right, what's your verse? He says, the body is no Bodhi tree, the mind no mirror stand bright. Basically, there's not one thing. Where could dust alight? Everybody goes, how'd that go again? I'm gonna write it for you. They go, how could he, exactly this. The 6th patriarch, the future, he wasn't the 6th patriarch yet, he was just a young man. He took it to the next level. He saw no characteristics. The body is not a Bodhi tree, the mind is not a mirror stand bright. Basically, there's not one thing. All dharmas are marked by emptiness. Where could dust alight? So there's an example of somebody who had already seen the non-dual nature of phenomena. Non-dual meaning no difference between perceiver and perceived. No difference between sight and object. Same. Because that's the way they see it through their meditation. Okay, so there's a lot here, and this can seem almost like an antagonist, almost like, for me to accept this, you have to reject reality, normal reality. Well, no, it's not that, because this is not a pose. It's not a thought. It's beyond thought. It's a reality for somebody whose meditation has taken them to the place where the self that's in there discriminating, friend and enemy, good for me, bad for me, profit and loss, victory and defeat, self and other, stuck like we are in these dualities, it seems a million miles away. Once that discriminating mind is quiet, suddenly it's like, oh, right, right, that's not far away at all. That's the way things are. And you can still function in the realm of duality, but you understand the unity of consciousness, where, as they say, all things are pingdang, all things are level and equal. That being said, new song sheet for yesterday, for our 2 days ago, we had interfaith gathering. I thought we gotta put these song sheets to use. We should almost have enough to go around. If we don't, 2 people can look on one. Page 2. A song that sings about the non-duality of all things. It's called a family tree. Your part goes like this. We're all sitting in the shade of the family tree. Sitting in the shade of the family tree. We do it twice. Let's try it. We're all sitting in the shade of the family tree. Sitting in the shade of the family tree. Here we go. Water and earth, wind and fire, roots digging deeper, branches reaching higher, north and south and east and west, all beings are kin to me. Here we go. We're all sitting in the shade of the family tree. One more. Sitting in the shade of the family tree. I've got earth in my feet, I've got oceans in my knees. 7 generations live on inside of me. My roots connect the universe, all beings are family. Here we go, your part. We're all sitting in the shade of the family tree. Sitting in the shade of the family tree. What we do to our planet, we do to our home. Planet Earth is our address, nobody lives alone. Everyone's a neighbor in our Earth community. Here we go. We're all sitting in the shade of the family tree. Sitting in the shade of the family tree. Earth is home to all of us. Share the crops, don't make a fuss. Share the food grown in the ground. There's enough to go around. Eat the burger, feed the cat. One you savor, one you pet. Pet the burger, eat the cat. We don't have that one straight yet. I got brothers wearing fur, I got sisters wearing fins. Some with wings and some with scales, some with rainbow skin. I don't eat my family. Come sit here right by me. Your turn. We're all sitting in the shade of the family tree. Sitting in the shade of the family tree. Now, the cook, she called it omelet, but the chicken called it egg. You may call it drumstick, but the turkey called it leg. Every mother loves her children, live and let life be. So we can sit beneath the shade of the family tree. One more. Sit beneath the shade of the family tree. Come on, sit beneath the shade of the family tree. A little bit of stealthy vegetarian propaganda in that last verse. Maybe I could have warned you. So, do we want to talk about keeping things going while I'm away, or how we can keep the meditation? Folks who are, it seems like we just get going when I have to travel, and since I got my citizenship, I'll be doing that less now. I'll be staying longer, which I'm pleased to say. So we could think about how to keep our community going. Let's see here. I got one more for you, since we got a bit of time here. Page 3. Page 3. Wish to repay. Here. This is a meditation song. And your part is down at the bottom. See this last little paragraph down here? Thank you to the universe. That's your part. Some of you have heard this before, you know it. Here it goes like this. Thank you to the universe. Thank you to the earth and sky. I may not repay my parents' kindness, but every day I try. Thank you to the universe. Thank you to the earth and sky. I may not repay my parents' kindness, but every day I try. Let's do that one more time. Let's try it. Thank you to the universe. Thank you to the earth and sky. I may not repay my parents' kindness, but every day I try. Here we go. People ask me, what did you get from your meditation? Are you enlightened? Have you ended your frustration? The wise men and women who woke up, all those I review, say the highest state is a wish to repay, a heart of gratitude. Okay, here we go, your turn. Thank you to the universe. Thank you to the earth and sky. May not repay my parents' kindness, but every day I try. Turn over to page 4, up in the top left-hand corner. How many years did I waste waiting for my prize, for my ship to finally come in, for my payoff to arrive? But joy comes not from getting, but from giving it all away. Sages say once you see the Tao, you feel a wish to repay. Here we go. Thank you to the universe. Thank you to the earth and the sky. I may not repay my parents' kindness, but every day I try. Who else do we thank? Thank you to the universe. Thank you to the earth and sky. Teachers, I may not repay my teacher's kindness, but every day I try. Now, who else? Thank you to the universe. Thank you to the earth and sky. Planet, I may not repay the planet's kindness, but every day I try. Parents, last time, here we go. Thank you to the universe. Thank you to the earth and the sky. My parents, I may not repay my parents' kindness, but every day I try. There you go.
Maybe we could have the Bhikshunis lead the.
If we could find one, we might ask them.
We could.
You think?
That
This-
one you need to be experienced enough.
Well, you know, there's a lot of topics that we could talk about, not necessarily the ones that we're studying. But
You don't have to talk about how
like how to
emptiness
do emotional
marks.
practice, for instance. You
All
know, things
dharmas
like
are
that,
empty.
How to set up an altar at home.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things we could talk about.
Yeah, life as a,
You know,
as a
we-
monastic.
Coming from, you know, a place where you've got no Buddhist family background, you know, all those sort of things you don't have. You don't know how to worship at home. You don't know how to set up an altar. You don't know how to do
Bowing.
a whole lot of things.
How to
you
put
know,
on a
people
robe,
just
how to
do
bow.
in their daily lives that are Buddhist.
Yeah,
But,
just we could get a list of questions and just talk to those questions. When we think of teaching, we think of, you know, like this monologue, like I just gave. Not, it's, I think, who's going to remember any sentence that I said during those 40 minutes? Maybe not. That's why we do that, you know. People are much more interested in listening to how Bhikshuni sees the world. Why did you become a nun? You know, and how do you perceive food that you eat and gifts, offerings that people make, and getting up in the morning, and the lives of lay people are so different than a monastic life, and just building a bridge from one to the other would be really, really good if you're willing to do that.
Does that really interest you?
Yes.
Really?
And you guys are going to be running a 6,000 seat meditation hall
Correct.
very shortly.
We're going to have a Guanyin hall that's going to.
So you're going to have to get your act together.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why I'm in this class.
Okay. So next week I'll be in Sydney, but
We'll be here.
you'll be here. You got pushed into it, boy. You couldn't escape. But you can have. I know Hung Jie is going to say, no, I don't want to do it. But you can have her promise to sit quietly, and then she'll talk when she gets a question, like she did the other night. You know, she was very at ease talking.
If it's coming from you, Pastor, she'll come. It's more likely that she'll come.
Okay.
Next week 汉院士 as well as her last weekend here next week.
Is Hung Jie going back or Hung Yan?
Yeah.
Hung Yan is going back. Okay. Yeah.
Free opportunity. That would go.
Yeah. Two young women who have been nuns since they were age 13. Very interesting, and rare. Yeah. Okay. Does anybody need one of these at home? How do we do it, Sam? Did we distribute it electronically or?
We have electronically. We can do another printing next one.
Yeah.
We can take home is fine.
What I would like to do is I would like to color code this and do it on a color printer so that the sections are obvious. As I was reciting down, boy, it was really clear that there are bite-sized chunks that are much easier to memorize when we see it. And I repeat that I would like folks to try memorizing. For some people, that is not what you do. And if you're one of those folks, that's totally cool. But if you've never tried it before, or if you think you might be able to do it, to be able to memorize the Heart Sutra and have it in your mind so that when you meditate, you can refer to it, it becomes a powerful tool. And you think, why would I want to deconstruct anything? Well, what about when you're in a situation of fear and suddenly you remember, hey, the Heart Sutra, form is not different than emptiness. Emptiness is not different than form. Form itself is emptiness. Emptiness itself is form. So too are feeling, cognition, creation, and consciousness. Shariputra, all dharmas are marked with emptiness. They are not produced, not just. At that point, the fear just goes, oh, now I see, So this is like really, really useful. And for those of you who can do I do Chinese myself. I don't do the English. And I use this every single day in my mind when I meditate. So I really would encourage folks who could maybe try it, give it a try. If after 6 months it's not happening, no worries. But if you can get a piece of it, and then a second piece of it, and then a third piece of it, before you know it, it's yours. And the Dharma has progressed in Australia. So, all right, in your hands you have the dedication of merit, and it's on page 3. Dedication of merit works because you actually do give away the goodness with a wish that you formulate. Doesn't this guitar sound nice? 12 strings. Okay, here we go. As one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find minds away to bring compassion, wisdom, and to may kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and may this boundless light dispel the darkness of an endless night, because our hearts are one. This world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and one. May all become compassionate and one. Alrighty, if you would pass the song sheets in with the sutras, please.